Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying this gorgeous June weather that has finally come upon us here in Maryland. It is mid-2025 and I want to go through the housing market with you mid-year, right? Where we've come from in the past 6 to 12 months and where we're going through the end of 2025, what's projected. I want to talk about two key points. One is prices and the other is mortgage rates. So let's just dive right in. Talking about home prices, like what's happening with home prices. A lot of people have that same concern. They're declining in some markets, they're going up in some markets, they're softening in other markets, nationwide that is. So it's concerning for a lot of people on a lot of different levels. And the other concern is a lot of Americans are saying that they're concerned about a housing market crash. Here we go again. Here we go, another housing market crash. And that's wrong. It's not going to happen. So the economists that study the market, really study the market, do not expect a housing market to crash in 2025 or beyond unless something significant happens in the economy. So that's what they're projecting. And they look at a lot of factors when they put these projections out, and that we're all hearing the chatter in the news, inflation, the tariffs, recession chatter, it's all taken into consideration. But they're still saying the housing market is not going to crash. And so why is that, right? How are they coming up to that conclusion? It's basic Econ 101. There's not enough houses in the market, right? Supply and demand. We have way too many buyers in the market, still not enough houses. Even though we have about 30% more inventory now than we did last year at this time, we're still at about 16% below pre-pandemic inventory levels. So we still have a nationwide housing shortage going on, supply and demand, all right? And that's why the housing market's not going to crash. What we are seeing is house value appreciation go back to a more normalized rate. We've had huge appreciation percentages over the past several years, 7, 8, 10%. Now we're going to go back to more of a 2 to 3%, which is more of a normal market. I like to remind people too, we have had a huge amount of appreciation, value, equity in your home over the past 5 years. So going back to a more normalized market is better for everyone. And it's just a scary shift. So that's where all these questions come up. So the second topic on everyone's mind is mortgage rates, of course. And, are they going up? Are they coming down? And they're the hardest thing to predict in the housing market. We saw stability in March, volatility in April. Right now we're hovering around 6.75%. It's kind of been up and down around that number for the past couple months. They're anticipating, with the recent data coming out that inflation is easing, they are anticipating a couple rate hike reductions through the end of the year, but they're still saying 6.5 by Q4 2025, and really not to go too far below that into the following year. I'm seeing a couple buyers come through with 6.5% now, so that's good for everybody. And getting those rates down would increase affordability. It would also loosen up that rate lock effect that's been going on for the past few years. What I mean by that is those sellers that are sitting on a 3% mortgage that haven't wanted to move. They don't want to move into a 7%, 8% mortgage. Makes perfect sense, right? If we can get that window a little smaller, a little closer between 3 and 6, 3 and 5 and 3/4, it's not as much of a jump for them to move, and that would loosen up some inventory. Let's also talk about the elephant in the room, and that is recession. And so what we know about recession and the housing market is that generally home sales rise during a recession. And the data shows in the last 4 out of the last 6 recessions that home sales rose as long as the interest rates went down. And in the following the recession since the 80s, all of the different recessions we've had, mortgage rates have always gone down. So those are two good factors. If and when, I'm not saying a recession is going to happen or not going to happen, I don't know. But the housing market historically has not been affected too negatively by that. Prices have gone up, interest rates have gone down. So that's what we know about it historically. So that's a lot of information, right? I just like to try and bring you what I'm seeing from within the industry versus what the mainstream media is putting out there, which can often be slanted, misleading, and biased. So I hope it helps. You know, I'm always here, just a call or a text or email. Reach out if you ever have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.